at that point, you're not there to play it safe. Like, if you're not taking risks, you're not competing.
It's empowering, you know? I mean, anybody who's done a CrossFit workout, you finish your CrossFit workout, and you're like, I'm on top of the world.
Yeah.
Like a hunger for competition and like that super intense structure, routine. I still had that desire.
Listen to the way people feel and the motivations for doing the things that they did. It was like they were describing me to a T.
I'm not trying to solve everything for you, but I know that sometimes you just need somebody to listen.
Learned the most is how to fill my cup by filling others.
Welcome to the Hungry Dog Barbell Podcast. Join me as I talk with passionate people about their life's failures and successes, and most importantly, what keeps them hungry for more. What up, dogs? Welcome back to another episode of the Hungry Dog Barbell Podcast. You know what, I didn't ask you. How do I say your last name?
Shear.
Shear. We have Kat Shear on the podcast today, in-house at CrossFit King of Prussia. How you feeling, Kat?
I'm good. I'm really excited. This is my first time being interviewed in person. So I've done a couple of podcasts, but they've all been over Zoom or over the phone. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Talk about a little bit about what you do. You're on a podcast right now. You're a CrossFit coach, gym owner. Like, do you have any other titles you go by, Kat?
Let's see. I work for a health and wellness company as a coach, as a health and wellness coach. I'm probably skipping a whole bunch of other things. I'm a mom, wife. Yeah, that's about it.
That's usually the first one that most people go to. Mom.
Yeah,
right? That sticks
mom,
out.
of course.
Yeah.
My favorite job.
That's awesome. So, Kat, let's dive into like some deep stuff right away.
Okay.
What do you think about all the stuff going on in CrossFit right now? Actually, you know what? An easier question to answer. When was the first time you saw an Andrew Hiller video? You remember what the first one was?
It was probably 3 weeks ago,
Okay.
4 weeks ago,
So
not
around the time
before
he first
then.
started popping up?
Yeah, and it was really, I had heard about him because he had done some things around steroid use and performance-enhancing drugs in the sport. Didn't really pay much attention to those because I feel like everyone does those videos and they're all the same. It's just, oh my gosh, how can you look like this? And, you know, there's no such thing as hard work and blah, blah, blah. So didn't really give it much credence. And then being that I used to be a judge, so I judged at the CrossFit Games in 2019, and I did the whole circuit, the semifinal circuit or sanctional circuit in 2019. I was very interested in the topic around the no reps because while I might have delivered it in a different way, I'm in complete agreement with him in terms of what he's brought to light, and I think it's really good for the sport that this stuff is becoming very popular.
I mean, it's been happening for a while, right? As someone that's been a judge at the higher level, like,
oh my gosh,
you want consistency. You know, you want the standards that they put out to be the standard. That was like the big quote, right? For so many years, across the standard is the standard.
Correct.
You know.
Yeah.
So from there, you see his first videos around steroids, and then you see the ones start to pop up of like people breaking the standards, like, and you're just in agreement right away.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I said, I don't love his style of delivery. I don't like the cuts into, you know, the
Batman
The Rock
stuff.
and all that kind of stuff. It's sort of annoying, and I feel like he definitely has a style, and that's fine for him, right? That's what he's going to be carrying through for him to get bigger and gain some notoriety is sort of his angle and his gimmick, and that's fine. It's just not my taste.
Right.
I would just rather have the information and digest it the way I want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've been an online judge for the Open, like for CrossFit.
Yeah. So what is that, reviewing like
Reviewing videos,
the
right?
Like the Opens ones, or like past that?
Whatever, yeah, or past that, whatever you signed up for. And you know, there have been instances where I've noted what I would consider major penalties that turned into nothing. Right. You know, people that are notable in the CrossFit world, like big names in the sport, I have judged their videos. I have made commentary on their videos to the higher ups, and then nothing's come of it. Now, that doesn't mean that nobody saw my comments or that those were ignored, but maybe they just made a decision that wasn't going to be a major penalty, or that wasn't going to be a problem, and that, you know, you have to hope that they are honest and doing it across the board consistently.
Right. I mean, we all know, well, people that have been in the sport for a while remember that year that like Brooke Wells got the capacity line from HQ,
for
right?
handstand push-ups.
And I think that like set a lot of people off, right? Like, and being really upset at the sport of CrossFit, the overreaching part of it, you know.
Or Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet in the total, right, with her strict press,
Ooh,
which
that was
really not a strict press.
Yeah.
And I think I actually think I think Megan Burns was her judge.
Oh.
I think. Now, don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But at that time, she was sort of coming up into the world, and I think they do a lot to protect their seminar staff, right? Seminar staff are the ones that are doing those individual judging at the games for the most part. And I think CrossFit had a responsibility at that time to sort of protect those people.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know. But that was a tough spot for her, too. Now, Boz did come in the middle of that and sort of negate her last rep, but she still got credit for those other 2 reps.
Yeah.
And I'm the one screaming at the TV, like, no, it shouldn't count.
Yeah. I think we both know, too, like, from the sideline to be in it, even as a judge, is like a really weird thing, right? Like,
completely different.
You've been a team leader before at like big competitions. Like I've run my own competitions and been like the head judge, right?
Sure.
And what you tell your team, right, is I'm gonna back you up no matter what you say.
Right.
Now, if there's something that's like egregious, like Boz did, you step in and you like make a call.
Sure.
You know? But those are things that I think a lot of us are calling for right now.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we respect your team, we respect the staff, we respect the judges, but sometimes the standard has to be the standard and you have to come in and make that call.
Exactly.
Which is a difficult thing. Do you consider yourself like a competitive person? Like
100%.
100%? So what is more stressful for you? Like your competitive environment, like running the gym, being the best coach, or being a judge,
I've sort of, that's a good question. I think definitely being the best coach I can be is what sort of is the fire inside of me, for sure.
For you,
yeah, definitely that. And now coming in with this podcast and doing some media stuff, there's some things there that I really want to refine and compete, in the field with others on, for sure.
Yeah. So which one do you think like gives you the tingles a little bit more?
The media one, for sure.
Media one?
Yeah, just because it's new. I think it's new. I've been coaching since 2015.
Right.
And I've only been doing this since about late 2019.
Okay.
So I think it's just new, a little more exciting. It's easier to sort of take the coaching stuff for granted, maybe.
Yeah. Like I've been doing this. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And definitely, I have to force myself to keep on my toes. One of the biggest challenges for me now as a coach is that I'm the only coach in my gym. And I don't get to experience other people coaching at all. And that's really hard. One of the ways that I got to be as good of a coach as I am, or as I think I am, is from the exposure I got from so many other coaches.
Right, they inspire you.
Yeah, and I just, you steal from them and you learn from them. And so aside from just watching videos and things like that of coaching, I don't get that input anymore. And so that scares me a little bit, that I'm going to get super stale, which is why, I try to, in my non-existent free time, drop in at other gyms. I even at one point in time had a membership at another gym because
that's helpful, right?
I needed to go and get coached for my own sanity and my own fitness, and B, because I needed to see how other coaches coach, whether they're better than me or not. Like, I'm going to learn something from that experience.
Yeah, definitely feel that. So let's take it back. How did you even get into CrossFit? How did you find it?
A neighbor and I were walking every morning for about a year at 5 a.m.
Oh.
We had this new, listen, we got to get in shape. Our kids were grade school aged, and 5 a.m. was really the only time that nobody needed us. Everybody was still asleep. We didn't have to be home until 6.
That's tough.
So we would walk, and we'd walk our neighborhood, and we did it for a year, and it was super fun, and nothing happened fitness-wise. We were still the same. We looked the same. We weren't more fit after the year. And we bumped into a friend of ours who had been doing CrossFit, and we hadn't seen her in about a year and a half, and she looked amazing.
Oh.
And we were like, what are you doing? What's your secret?
Yeah.
And this is over margaritas at some local bar, we're like, what are you doing? And she told us what she did. And we said, is there a 5 a.m. class? Because that was our only option. We liked the idea, but we're like, shit, we can only do it at 5 a.m. Who does that?
Right. Who's up coaching a class then?
CrossFit.
Yeah.
We soon came to find out that CrossFit does that. And so we went to her gym and we started working out there. And I fell in love with it immediately.
Wow.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And fun fact, the gal that I started with is now one of my members at my gym.
Wow.
Yeah.
Comes full circle like that.
Yeah. And that was back in 2013, August of 2013. I did my first open in 2014, had the knee socks, did the deadlifts and the box jumps.
Ones,
oh my
right?
God. Yeah. I still have them in my car.
That's cool.
did the open, just drank the Kool-Aid, started going to regionals, like to watch.
Yeah.
I went to grid stuff. I was in love with that. I mean,
the East Coast before was in Florida, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I went to a combine. I was actually a gridler at one of the combines.
Wow.
Which was like a bar handler. When they do their ladders, you have to like jump in and straighten out the bars. I did that for one time. Yeah. I couldn't get enough of it. I was an early adopter of everything. I bought, the first Evo rope before they were even like $150 I spent on a friggin' jump rope that I didn't even need. Yeah, I got like the original one. I bought Whoop like the second day they were in business.
Yeah.
Like I just,
That's crazy.
super enthusiastic.
Well, you just paid for like the band, right? And then you got.
And I don't pay for anything right now. I just have the band.
You just have the members. Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Founding member.
I think you know Angelo, right? He runs.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was one of the same people.
Oh,
that did
really?
The same thing. Yeah.
Let's get back to what we were talking about with fitness. Did you grow up playing sports?
I was a ballerina
Oh, what?
growing up.
So you're the first ballerina I've had on.
Oh, sweet.
I had on some like ballet dancers, some tap people, and like I was like super amazed by that because like I'm good with all the big four essentially, right?
Yeah.
And then even like a little bit of dancing. But like, how did you get into that?
I just I started when I was about 6 years old. My parents put me in ice skating and ballet, and I
Okay.
played piano.
Yeah.
And the ice skating was like twice a week, and the ballet was twice a week. And my mom looked at me and she's like, "You need to pick one."
Yeah.
And I chose ballet. She tells me the story about when she took me to my first ballet class, and I don't remember it at all. But when I came out to the car, I said, "Mom, I loved it."
Wow.
And that was just kind of it. And I was good at it. So, like you always like what you're
Good at. Yeah, yeah.
what you excel at. And I had really good teachers, and it was just a very serious discipline for me until I went to college. Like, I wanted to dance professionally as a teenager, and my parents wouldn't let me.
Damn.
They're like, "You need to go to school."
So that's becomes like a full-time job, right?
It back then it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the late 80s, early 90s, if you wanted to become a professional, move to New York, do that whole thing, you didn't go to college.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's very common for you to be able to be in a professional dance company and go to school.
Oh, okay.
So that just, if you, back then when I was in college, if you majored in dance, you sucked at dance. You were like a modern modern dancer and couldn't really, didn't have any technique for ballet. But
Right.
ballet is just super specific. And I really think it's how I got into being able to see and correct so well, because there's just something visually about, I can look at a dancer, and even though it's subjective, I can tell whether they're good or not.
Right.
Whether they have a solid technique or not, just in the lines of their body and how they move. And it's super helpful for coaching.
Yeah.
I can pretty much see anything.
That's really important.
Yeah.
So when you first got into it, like, did you have any idea? I guess I should ask, did you have any idea of like thinking about teaching movement to other people? Did you like go through any camps where you were the teacher trying to teach like younger dancers or anything?
I did. So as a teenager, I would do some of the classes with like the babies, like the 4 and 5 year olds on
Right.
Saturday mornings. I did that a little bit. Didn't really enjoy it that
Okay.
much. But then it was funny, in my 30s, for my birthday, I want to say it was like my 38th birthday, my husband paid for me to go to American Ballet Theater and become a certified American Ballet Theater teacher.
Oh, okay.
So it was sort
Was
of
that
like,
before CrossFit or after?
yeah, it was before CrossFit. So I didn't start CrossFit till I was 40.
Yeah.
So at 38, I'd spent a full week in New York City by myself, and was immersed in teaching classical ballet, how to be a classical ballet teacher. And it was awesome. It was kind of like your fantasy camp, if you go to spring training, but you get to like participate, in baseball or whatever your sport is. So that was super awesome. And then I started dancing again as an adult, and it was, I wasn't as good, and I was heavier, and it was a little bit more difficult, but I was going to teach ballet. That was what I was going to do. And the place where I was going to teach, I was working full-time at JP Morgan Chase as a marketing executive. So I had a full-time job.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to coach. They wanted me to teach. You teach ballet, you coach CrossFit. They wanted me to teach a class like every Monday at 5:30. And I was traveling a lot with work, and I had, business trips that would span over weekends, and I just couldn't commit to every Monday at 5 o'clock, teaching a class.
Yeah.
So it just kind of never happened.
Yeah.
And I had this certification, and I just have been sitting on it for 10, 12 years now. I can't really do anything with it.
Yeah.
But that was really cool. And it was such a love of mine. And and I was resigned to the fact that I would teach it, and if I couldn't do it, I would teach it. And then as soon as I started CrossFit, I knew immediately that I wanted to coach.
Well,
I knew immediately that I wanted to actually own a gym.
you were
to be
like
honest with
fully
you.
immersed, like right in it.
Yeah.
So what did you do in the time, because you grew up from like an active background, what did you do in the time between like college where you like majored in ballet
Yeah.
and when your husband bought you like that pass to go out there?
I was when I like as a young adult before I got married, I was a gym rat. So I learned how to do all the movements in the gym. I actually dated a guy who was a bodybuilder, like competitive bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And we lived together for a brief period of time where we would like wake up in the morning, go to the gym, we'd come home, we'd have a giant breakfast, we'd both go to work, we'd meet each other at the gym.
That's awesome.
For second sessions,
Yeah.
cardio, whatever, and then we'd eat another giant meal. Like we ate so much food.
Right.
And just worked out so much. And then I got to the point where, that relationship didn't work out. I was dating other guys and I was eating that way, but not working out that
you
way.
held on to the same thing. Yeah.
So that was really hard for me. And I was probably in the worst shape of my life when I had my 2 kids. And it wasn't until my daughter was born in 2005. And it wasn't until maybe 2009 or 10 or 11 when I went to New York and did that ballet thing.
Yeah.
So it was just, I was trying to find myself, figure out like what I wanted to do when I grew up and athletically, because I knew I wanted to maybe do dance again. And that's kind of what brought me into doing that in New York.
That's amazing. Try to find yourself like coming from like such an active background. That's hard, right?
Yeah, it was. And I mean, I love to do sports too. Like growing up, I remember I like did a little bit of sports. I went to Ursuline, which is like a really, it's an all-girls Catholic school in Wilmington, and it's very sports-oriented.
Nice.
They have like the best volleyball team, the best field hockey team, the best basketball team. And in 6th grade, I played basketball, and I made the 8th grade team as a 6th grader.
Wow.
Never played basketball before. The girls that were in 6th grade whose parents were the coaches didn't make the team, and I did, and they were so mad.
Oh.
Like, how did she make the team, And I remember my mom, when we went to buy my first pair of high tops, my mom cried in the shoe store.
Yeah.
She was like, oh my God, my beautiful little fragile baby is
The
like
ballerina.
wearing high tops.
Yeah.
It was awful. But I couldn't really get serious with any sports. Like I would do it for a season and then, ballet took over. So I did like field hockey in 8th grade. I was on the diving team as a sophomore in high school. Like I tried to do some sports because all my friends were athletes in high school.
Do they not look at you as an athlete? I mean, you're doing something that's
I was
like...
just the weird one that like couldn't go to anybody's birthday party on the weekends because I had rehearsal. My mom will tell you the story about how my first communion, I changed in the hatchback of our Honda out of my white dress into leotard and tights to go to rehearsal. I didn't have a party or a big family gathering afterwards. We just went right from church to the ballet. It was my whole life.
Yeah.
I would go into school in September and wonder if I was still going to be friends with the girls I was friends with last year because I didn't see them all summer.
Yeah.
They all went to the pool together and hung out and did their basketball camps and their field hockey camps. I was in ballet.
Right.
And I was with people that were usually a couple years older than me that didn't go to my school.
I was going to say, like, your priorities change from year to year, but I think more accurately, it's like you had priorities before they even thought about what a priority was.
Probably.
When it's like something that's like dedicated as ballet. Do you ever think about, have you ever thought about like why sports didn't really stick for you and why like ballet did?
I think it was just because I liked it so much and I didn't have room for the other stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be so interesting to go back and see, even if I had chose ice skating versus ballet, right?
Yeah.
Ice skating, there's like a path to the Olympics, right? And there's a path. With ballet, it's sort of wishy-washy.
Right.
You kind of have to sell your soul and, do drugs and, treat your body like crap, to be good at it.
Right.
And that was sort of not a good vibe to be in. So
what's the top of like the cream of the crop for ballet? Was like
a prima ballerina.
Okay, I thought that was going to say something like that.
And that's, I have a book. It's called the Ballerina Body Diet Book or something like that. And my mom bought it for me when I was probably like 11 or 12.
You still have it?
I still have it.
Yeah.
It's highlighted. There's like pencil marks in it and literally the diet says like, for breakfast, have a grapefruit and 1 slice of toast.
Ugh.
And then for lunch, have a walnut muffin and a piece of celery.
Yeah.
And then for dinner. And meanwhile, you're dancing all day.
I was going to say that you also
it was like a
dance for 7 hours.
900 calorie diet a day.
Ugh.
I mean, and that was just ingrained in you. I used to wake up in the middle of the night and do like step aerobics in my den when I was like 12 or 13, just to like lose a little weight or, be a little thinner.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's just a message. I'm so glad I didn't get into it because Lord knows where I'd be right now.
Yeah.
I have an addictive personality. You dive
right in. Yeah.
I would have dove right in and probably, been really messed up if I had kept going with it. So.
That's crazy. You were talking about like dealing with the crazy parents from like the 6th grade when you like keep their daughters. Do you deal with any of that right now? Like, because your kids play sports.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much daddy ball going on still. Still my daughter has retired from softball and volleyball, so we don't have to deal with it with her anymore. And my son's playing college baseball, and
so he's like elevated past that a little bit.
He's elevated past it, but there's still, why isn't he playing?
Yeah.
Why is this pitcher pitching and why isn't he pitching? Like, my son's better than yours, and it still happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll ever get away from it.
Yeah, it's one of the worst parts about youth sports, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you just said that like you knew right away you wanted to like start a CrossFit gym. Do you remember the first time you said that out loud and like who you said it to?
Probably. I probably said it to the head coach at Kennett Square.
Within the first year?
Yeah.
That's
like
crazy.
I probably verbalized it as I would like to be part of this gym.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do to become like an owner of this gym?
Right.
I don't want to go on my own because I love this gym.
Right.
These are my people. This is the infrastructure that I like. These are the systems that I'm familiar with. These are the coaches and people that I love. How can I have a bigger role in this gym than just a member or just a coach?
Right.
And, that gym's owned by a conglomerate of people, and there just wasn't room for me to become one of those people.
Yeah.
I was like 5th in line from a seniority perspective to even if I was going to become, an owner or general manager or something, that would have never happened.
Yeah.
So I had to leave, and that sucked.
Yeah.
That really sucked.
Going out on your own, leaving the infrastructure that you fell in love with.
Yeah.
Right. It's crazy. So how do you start manifesting and putting the pieces together to start your own place?
Well, I got my level 2 pretty soon after I got my level 1.
So when did you get your level 1?
I got my level 1 in December of 2014.
How long had you been doing CrossFit at that time?
A year and a half.
Year and a half.
And then I got my level 2 in November of 2016.
Oh, so that's the old level 2 too, a little bit more aggressive.
No. It was. I don't remember if it was old or new, but I remember being in the level 2, and you had to enter the level 2. The population's smaller, right?
Yeah.
So much smaller class than the level 1, and we went around and explained who we were, how long we'd been coaching, why we were there. And there were people that, I own an affiliate. I've been coaching for 10 years, blah, blah. I mean, I literally was like, hi, my name's Kat. I've been coaching for 9 months. Like, I hadn't, because I got my level 1 and then did an internship at my gym and didn't really start coaching until like January, February.
Okay.
And it was the following November that I went to get my level 2.
Wow.
Because I was just like, I'm in. Like, I still want to get my level 4, and like, no one will tell me how to do that because it's been sort of in limbo for so long. But I immediately got my level 2. That was life changing. Just the curriculum so much different than the level 1. It really teaches you how to coach.
You get like in-person feedback right away.
Big time.
Really how to run the show.
Exactly. And at that point in time, I knew that I wanted to just quit my job, start something and all that. But I just continued to work at different gyms to get the experience. I think soon after that, I got my level 3, and then I quit my job, my super cushy corporate job, to just like go double down, all in on this training thing, and opened up Catalyst Fitness in my garage in April of 2018.
What was that like when you were first starting that? Were you like
Scary
confident
shit.
right away? You were
No.
Scary, yeah.
Super scary. I had like 3 clients. My husband was super like, do you know what you're doing? Like, he's an accountant.
Yeah.
So he's all about sort of
Safe
dollars
job
and cents.
stability.
And he doesn't quite understand how growth works in this industry.
Right.
It's a little bit different than just like general marketing. You don't put it out in the phone book.
Yeah.
It's a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of referrals and things like that. So he was very concerned, like, what are you doing? Like, you haven't, you don't have a sign out front. You don't have a, website, like, what's going on? And I just said, don't worry about it. Like, it's going to be fine. And, we white knuckled for a little while, but we got a bunch of clients, and then that grew into, people wanted my time, and there weren't enough hours in the day to sort of support what I wanted to do. So we got to go get a bigger space. And
how long have you been open in your garage?
I started in April of 2018, and we just shut down the garage in January.
Wow. So 4 years
through the pandemic.
Through the pandemic,
I mean, I was ready to sign a lease like 2 days before the world shut down.
Wow.
COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, never mind.
Yeah.
And then this building that I'm in now had been vacant for like 4.5 years, and I've been looking at it for a while.
Wow.
Just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And just negotiated them down so that I could afford it.
Yeah.
Here we are.
So pandemic like maybe helped a little bit.
It was
like,
very helpful.
yeah.
Very helpful, the pandemic. I had people coming to my gym to do open gym because their gym was closed.
Yeah.
Because my business was considered a household business.
Right.
And it wasn't shut down.
It's amazing.
So they would just come.
When you first opened the garage gym, Catalyst, had you ever been like the head coach before?
Mm-mm.
You're so like this is the first time you really being in charge of everything. You're making all the decisions. What was that like?
Yeah. I mean, it was a relief. I mean, it was part of the reason why I wanted to do it myself in the first place.
Yeah.
I did have to coach at other gyms to supplement my income during that time. So I was doing this personal training one-on-one stuff and coaching at 2-3 other CrossFit gyms in the area. And that was tricky. You know, getting to know and love all these people at these other places that weren't my clients, you know, is tricky.
Right.
It just, I mean, if you've ever worked at 2 places at once, like it's very difficult. But I needed to do that to keep up my credentials for my level 3. Because you're level 3, you have to coach at a CrossFit affiliate. And at that point in time, I was not affiliated. Yeah. Because I couldn't afford $3,000. I wasn't making enough money to pay an affiliate fee at that time.
Yeah.
Even though I knew that's what I wanted to do.
You had to build up to that.
Yeah. But it was part of the reason why I wanted to own my own place. I had a hard time. I have a hard time dealing with other people's programming if I don't like it.
Yeah.
If I think it sucks.
Heard that.
It's really hard to get up in front of a group of people
and sell it to them, right?
And tell them they're about to do this workout that I don't think any of them should do.
Yeah.
Super hard. And so, you know, and it's not to say that that program was bad. It's just I have a very different view of how people should get fit.
Yeah.
And now I get to implement it on my own, and I don't have anyone to answer to.
It's amazing.
Which is awesome.
And beforehand, right, it's like people might look down on you like, oh, they're not pretentious, but like stuck in their ways of like how you look at this. But it's like, no, back to the standard is a standard thing.
Yeah.
I have a viewpoint of what I think this should look like.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waver from that.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
And some people like
it rubbed people a little bit the wrong. Yeah.
They
I
fall off and they can rub off.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, if I stay stuck with this, then I never waver, and look where it pays off to.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
like now I have my own place and I can make all the decisions. That's amazing.
It's pretty awesome. And I'm super glad that I didn't go in with anybody else.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of gyms do that where they have like a silent partner or they have 2 people, you know, that are sharing the responsibility and everything else. It is just me. So I don't have to answer to anyone about, you know, if I want to change the workout or if I want to, you know, change the toilet paper or, hey, let's add this shower or whatever. It's like, okay, just do it.
Yeah. That's so free.
It's very free and very scary, right?
Yeah.
Like if things are not going 100%, you're like, well, it's all on you.
Yeah.
You know, no one's going to come and pick up the pieces for
It's
you.
a very scary thing.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in like judging at the games and progressing that way?
You know, I wish I remembered how I got the job the volunteer job to judge at MAC in 2019. I don't remember how it happened. I honestly do not remember. But I remember I must have signed up for it. I don't know who told me to. I may have gotten the idea myself. Like
just
it was
saw
just one of those
yeah.
things like, hey, register to be a volunteer. And I'm super judgy anyway with, you know, my athletes and how they move. So I thought, oh, this is perfect. Like,
right.
You know, I can do this for real. And I got the opportunity to judge at MAC. And I guess I did a good job because it's the same people pretty much that run the judging sort of environment.
Yeah.
They move from sanctional to sanctional and semi to semi. So those group of people, I just got in good with them. I did what I was supposed to do. I didn't give them an attitude or anything, and I was pretty confident.
That's awesome.
In what I was doing. I didn't try to take selfies with the athletes and you know in the back and all that kind of stuff because you get people that are trying to volunteer at things that just are super I don't know, immature, and they're just like they're like fame whores, and they just
the
want
glamour
like,
hits them. And
yeah, and I can tell you that I have gotten pictures with 2 people in my entire like career doing all of this stuff with CrossFit in the last like 4 years, even with like going to the games and being on the media team and everything else. Like Danny Spiegel at an airport one time, and I got a picture of the male winner at MAC in 2019, like right backstage off the podium.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
And everybody else, even like legit judges, will get selfies afterwards. You know, they'll change their shirt and they'll put some lipstick on and they'll get selfies with like everybody on the floor.
Wow.
I'd much rather have a conversation with somebody than just like come up to them and say, hey, can I get a picture?
Yeah.
And I think those conversations that I've had have done me well.
Yeah. So like when people are doing what you're saying, right? Like not to put them down and all, but when you're taking those selfies, like it kind of removes you from your job,
Right.
you know, and they're viewing you a different way.
Right. And the other, and you know, and then you have to go and judge that person.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, or you just judge that person and now you're like fanboying over them. There's a little conflict of interest there. Like you have to be really just kind of
Lasered
narrow
in.
focused. Yeah, laser focused when you're judging. You can't remember like who it is that you're judging. You
Yeah.
just have to like look at the movements and say yes or no.
Yeah, and then they respect you like as they're doing their job here.
Exactly.
They're part of this situation, you
Yeah.
know, which changes like the narrative and the viewpoint of view. You know,
Exactly.
So you just brought it up, right? Like being on the media team. How did you even get involved in media, podcasting, any of that?
Oh God.
Do you remember how you did that?
I do remember that. So one of my fellow judges knew a guy that was interested in starting a podcast,
Right.
or had started a podcast, I think. And that was Scott Schweitzer. Scott Schweitzer's the host of Clydesdale Fitness and Friends. He's the guy. I was at the Mayhem Classic judging, and he was there doing security. And my friend Diana, who was a judge, just introduced us. She said, Scott has this podcast, and he was doing like some human interest stories and things.
Because he'd come off of being in the CrossFit video, something like that, right? He was the guy from one of the CrossFit HQs.
From the documentaries.
Yeah.
Who had lost a bunch of weight.
Right.
Yep, that's Scott. And he was trying to break into this space as like a podcaster, and he wanted to do things differently. He wanted to get like the personal side of things and just not talk to the athlete about, you know, how they did at the games. But we do a lot of like, we talk to spouses.
Yeah.
And we love like doing couple interviews and things like that. So anyway, she said to him, you have to meet my friend Kat. She quit her corporate job to be a CrossFit coach and to like own her own business. I think that's a really cool story that she should be on your podcast.
Yeah.
And so I met him for like 2 seconds at Mayhem. I said hi. I didn't really think much of it. We connected afterwards, and he recorded an episode of me on his podcast.
Yeah.
And then he enjoyed our conversation. I guess he realized that I didn't sound like garbage, you know, on the mic, and I wasn't super, you know, like, you know, hesitant. And he said, hey, I would like us to be interviewed, meaning him and his co-hosts, sort of in the same vein that he had interviewed me, like just a get to know you type thing. He said, I want to do these bonus episodes where someone turned the tables and interviews me. He said, would you be interested in doing that?
Yeah.
And I said, sure. So I did that. And then, you know, secretly, as soon as this happened, I'm like, I want to be on this podcast. Like, I want to be the fourth person.
Yeah.
It was, you know, him, Amy Radowski, and Charlie Odie were his buddies that he worked out with in Ohio. And I was sort of this odd man out, you know, from Delaware. I'm always, you know, virtual. I'm never like in the room with them or anything like that.
Right.
But it just kind of worked out. And I think I was able to get them some guests early on for whatever reason. I think I just had some links to like Con Porter. And Amy had mentioned that like Con Porter is like her dream interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, let me see if I can get him for you. And so I did. And then I think they felt obligated to be like, well, shit, she gave us this really good guest. Like, maybe we should ask her on. And then they just couldn't get rid of me after that.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm in. I'm doing it.
Why were you so confident the first time? You were like, just like, I could talk about me. I could talk with you.
I guess I don't really have much experience. I mean, in the corporate world, I've given presentations before.
Yeah.
I think for me, if I'm talking about something I know a lot about, totally fine. I can go off. I can talk about it. It becomes tricky if, you know, you catch me in something that I'm not that confident in.
Yeah.
Then I will definitely stammer and not sound intelligent.
Like, hey, Kat, let's talk about table tennis.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh my God, yeah, forget it. I wouldn't even know like what to call the thing in your hand. I think it's a paddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's just, I've always been pretty extroverted.
Yeah.
I'm like a introverted extrovert.
Yeah, that's
You know?
that's the thing, right? That like you're quiet sometimes, but you're willing to talk
I mean,
to people.
I'm a loner most of the time. Like,
Yeah.
I like to just be by myself with my dogs.
Yeah.
You know, I spend all day at the gym by myself. Like, it's a lonely gig.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I
And
relate to that a lot.
I don't like parties unless, I mean, if I'm at a party, I am sitting in a chair and I'm not moving.
Yeah.
And if people want to come talk to me, like, that's awesome. But I cannot like mingle and make small talk. I absolutely hate it.
It's funny.
Hate it. We have Braden's on, my son Braden, who plays baseball. The families of the baseball team have like tailgates every weekend, right? We go down, we drive 4.5 hours to the school. They start like 3 hours before the game. I'll get there like 5 minutes before the game. I'll like walk past the tailgate. Hey guys, how you doing? Nice to see you again. I just want to come and watch my kid play. And then afterwards, they all like get together in the parking lot. I'm like, I'm gonna go take my kid to dinner. Like, this is why I'm here.
Right.
And I can't stand it. I can't.
That's funny. So I completely relate to that, right? Like, so side thing, how was like quarantine of the pandemic for you? Because for me, it was like it sucked to not coach, but I loved being alone for an extended period of time. But you were good too.
I still coach. Like
right.
I lost maybe one client.
Yeah.
I had a type 1 diabetic who left for a little while, and then I had another kid whose sister was immunocompromised, and he stopped coming.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I had like 15 to 20 clients. So I was still really busy. But yeah, I was fine not going out.
Yeah.
Not going to the mall, not shopping. Good.
What is even is the mall?
Right,
I've been there once in the past like 3 years, so I love my life.
Anything that's going on.
It's amazing. Right so how are you getting like people in, new clients, new members?
That's a really good question. I don't have like a specific plan that I can point to.
Yeah.
There were people in the community that I knew would come once I opened.
Right. People
would call me, when are you getting your place? When are you getting your place? I finally got my place. Most of them came. So they showed up and now they're members. I amazingly have about 15 members that I've never known before, complete strangers. And to me, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. I do a Saturday free class every Saturday. So every Saturday, anyone can come. And I had a big promotion like the first week. And pretty much if you come to class and you maybe buy a punch card because you're not quite sure, 9 times out of 10, you'll become a member.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
there's just a vibe there. I'm not attracting super heavy duty CrossFitters. I'm attracting just people that want to get fit.
Yeah.
And want to be healthy.
And that's like the avatar you're looking for, right? Like,
yeah.
Because you just said like 2 people you just named were immunocompromised, and then someone's a type 1 diabetic.
I mean, and I have kids that are on the spectrum that I coach. I feel like we're like a little island of misfit toys, you know? But yeah, and then I have like some people that have been doing CrossFit for 6-7 years, but don't want to compete. They just want to, they don't want to have injections in their shoulders every 6 months, and they don't want to break a hip. And they just come and we have a good time.
Yeah. Coming from like Kennett Square and all those gyms out there, like the Westchester, Delaware area, like there's a lot of younger kids that walk into the gyms and just a bigger population that's usually like at those places.
Yeah.
Were you confident dealing with like the misfits, when you ran your own place? Like, were you ready to coach them?
I think I was, yeah. And I think I knew that's probably what I was going to get at first. And that's okay. And still now, I mean, gosh, I don't want to like insult any of my members if I call them misfits, but it's like, they realize that they're not competitive CrossFitters.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I think they like the fact that they do CrossFit. You know, like, hey, I like tricked them into doing CrossFit.
Yeah.
They're like, they would have never, if they thought it was a CrossFit gym, they would have never come to my gym in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part about it is like, I don't want people to be afraid of it. I just want them to come and they'd be like, oh yeah, by the way, you're doing CrossFit.
Just by the way, all the way out the door. You know?
Oh yeah, it's CrossFit.
And funny enough, I feel like you probably consider yourself a misfit, right? Like,
oh, for sure.
We have people here that we call the misfits also, and like I consider myself one of them.
Yep.
Like I love and I believe in the methodology of CrossFit. I believe in like the conduit that it is of like sharing fitness and movement and just like lifestyle choices with people.
Yeah.
I don't really care about competing in CrossFit. I don't really care about a lot of that stuff. Like I care about like what it means to actually me. And like, I try to give that off to everybody when they come in here, so definitely. I relate to that. Like, oh, by the way, you did CrossFit, you did a CrossFit workout today.
Right.
Like sometimes we come together, we do Murph, and that's just like the most CrossFit-y we get.
I don't even, I mean, if my clients weren't asking for Murph, I probably wouldn't even do Murph.
Put it on the schedule,
I couldn't tell you the last time I've done it. I've done half Murph a couple years, but somebody actually, one of my members just asked me, they're like, are we going to do Murph this year?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we'll do Murph.
Yeah.
On Saturday, I guess Saturday of Memorial, like I'm not going to make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
Like it's just another workout. My program philosophy is just like completely the opposite of what every CrossFit gym is.
That's awesome. It's great to be different.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be, I think, to survive. I think I have to be different because there's so many CrossFit gyms in our area too that you just need to differentiate yourself a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. So going back to the media stuff, right?
Yeah.
How do you prepare for a podcast episode for like talking to people?
It depends. So I used to take lots and lots of notes. Usually I just stalk somebody's Instagram and figure that out, or go on the games page, if they're an athlete, and figure out what they did. Luckily, I'm such a nerdy fan that I know so much about them anyway.
Right.
I'll look at old podcasts that they've done, and I will try to never, ever repeat the question that's already been asked.
That's the thing, right?
That's the key. It's challenging when there's 4 of us, like there's 4 co-hosts.
Because you guys probably all have like something similar, maybe from a different standpoint.
And we all want to ask our questions, but like the conversation has to flow.
Yes.
But we've learned not to stick to a script. I think when we first started, we were very scripted.
Yeah.
Scott or I would write down, like, whoever books the guest is responsible for leading the conversation.
Mm.
And so if you book a guest, you share notes with the group. And I would find all of us would like be so stuck on the notes that we would like not even be listening to what the person was saying or talking, and it would be very rigid. Sometimes now we don't even have notes. We just kind of vibe off of
progress to that level, right?
Yeah,
like, I know
what
I'm doing. Yeah.
And I think we're going to do a big push before semis where we're going to try to get a lot of people that are competing in semifinals that people don't know about.
Yeah.
To just get them on, even if it's like a 20-minute quick live on YouTube, just to, help publicize them and get the word out about who they are, and to just like bring up some attention to those semifinals, because I just think they're cool.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to go into like the semifinal stuff, right? Because you guys do like live in person stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, are you a technological person?
Gosh.
Do you understand?
If you ask Scott Schweitzer, he would say 100% no.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. Like, who does that stuff on there?
Works when I my headphones, my iPod things. What are they called?
AirPods. Yes.
AirPods, yeah. I'm almost 50, so give me a break. They are called. I have renamed them.
Like 7 times.
No, just once. And they are called the Cat's Stupid Things That Never Work.
Wow.
Like, that's the name of them in
They never like connect?
I can never get them to connect. And I know what I'm doing. Like, logically, I know what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work.
That's
So
funny.
Scott and I are pretty good technologically, but I find as I age, like, I literally am that person that, like, loses technological aptitude the older I get.
Yeah.
It's scary. Really scary. I'm driving my son's truck right now, and I cannot figure out. I have called someone randomly 3 times from my phone when all I was trying to do was voice record a text message to my son.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it shows on the car, on the truck, that I am calling Becky Jerkovich, who I haven't talked to in like 7 years.
Hey, Becky.
I didn't even know she was a contact. I've called her 5 times in the last like 3 days.
I think your phone just wants you to talk to Becky.
I do not know what I'm doing.
That's funny. So,
but yeah, from like we like just switched over to StreamYard, which is like a different platform.
Yeah.
But I do all the post-production for the podcast right now, like the video and the audio.
Nice.
Unless we go live, and then Scott will just run an audio to Transistor is what we use for audio. But we use something called Filmora.
Okay.
Wondershare's Filmora, which is like not Premiere. It's not like Adobe or whatever everybody else uses. It's just what we started with.
Yeah, and you stayed with it.
And I'm so comfortable with it now that like I've tried to use other, like I've done like the free 2-week, trial of Premiere.
To try to get into it.
Nope.
Yeah.
Like there's no more capacity in my brain.
That's
like,
funny. You got what you need. Yes.
New. I'm like, I know how to do this. My transitions are shitty. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And that's like the small things to get. Like, I'm not a very big like technological person either. So like doing it all myself, like I learned a lot just about how to do things.
Yeah.
And then when I got hired here, right, like one of my roles was doing the social media stuff.
Oh, fun.
And I was like, okay, thank God I learned all of that. It made it look really bad for a year because now I know how to make it look good. Like at one of the premier gyms in the area. Like I didn't want like Taylor quality stuff on just the regular page. So like you just learn stuff as you go through life.
Yeah.
But so talking about like doing stuff in person, right? This is like, I guess 2021 at the end of it or like beginning of it, you guys started working with Morning Chalk Up and going out to like semifinals and stuff. What was that like? Because you were doing everything virtual before, and now
we were in person.
Yeah,
that was actually a pretty rocky road. The Morning Chalk Up. We had been brought on by Justin LaFranco right before he was about to like climb Mount Everest or something, and I'm getting that. It's probably the wrong mountain.
I know shut about that.
But he did like some major climb, and he was like out of pocket for like all during the semifinals.
I remember that.
So we had like the senior editor had to like figure out what to do with us.
Yeah,
wasn't quite sure what we were supposed to do. We show up at a semifinal, thought we were supposed to do like recaps. But we didn't really have any resources other than ourselves to do it, so they were so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we did them. We did recaps on air, but they were embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't that great. And so it was just a little bit, it was rocky. And then we went to the games under the MCU umbrella as well, which was a wonderful opportunity. And I can't say enough about the people at Morning Chalk Up. They were so nice and so generous with their time and their equipment. And they just, they got us all of these ins. And we were supposed to go and sort of revamp their YouTube channel. And we were just getting stuck. Like we had roadblock after roadblock. We couldn't figure out what we were doing. We didn't have like really a centralized focus of what we were supposed to be doing. We
Yeah.
were kind of just like
Like your purpose, right? You didn't
yeah,
have
we
one?
weren't quite sure what that was. And it was fine. So we sort of, I mean, no one's ever said to us, like, we're no longer part of the Morning Chalk Up, but I'm pretty sure we're no longer part of the Morning Chalk Up.
Yeah.
Like, it just sort of,
Back to doing your own
it
thing.
sort of evaporated.
Yeah.
So now we're just going to semifinals on our own ticket. And, you know, if we didn't have that connection with Morning Chalk Up, we probably wouldn't be
Able to
getting
get
our own
Credentials. Yeah.
So I'm not, you know, I don't want to say anything disparaging against them. I think they're doing great work. We just want to do the same work.
Right.
And if we can't do it with them, we're going to do it alongside them.
Yeah.
And so we've created this thing called the Rig Report, which is a news show, basically, where
Yeah.
we're bringing people the news in the sport.
So that's the new purpose, like going forward. Like, are you guys going to focus when you go out there on like recaps, or like what's like the focus to you going to be?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Syndicate comes up in 3 weeks, so
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Yeah. Is that the one in Kentucky?
Yeah, there's it's in
Well,
Tennessee,
there's
Knoxville.
two,
There's two
right,
in
yeah.
Knoxville week after week. Scott will be at both of them.
Okay.
I'm gonna just go to Syndicate,
Yeah.
and then I think I'm just gonna go to the games.
Nice.
Just because, again, did I mention I'm the only coach at my gym?
Yeah. And you
we're
don't want to shut
open.
down for
We're
like
open Fridays and Saturdays and Mondays. So
yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see sort of how that evolves. But I'm really excited about it, and we're still doing our interviews, you know, with athletes, and we're still doing human interest stuff when it, you know, when we feel like it.
Right.
Anything that just kind of moves us and we feel like needs to be told, we'll tell the story.
It's awesome. Amy's going to be out there at the Syndicate. She's excited
really?
to go to semifinal
Awesome.
to be able to watch. I think she said that she's supposed to do a level 1 out there too, but I think it got canceled.
Cool.
So because there's only like 6 people like signed up for it.
That's a tough weekend to do a
People are
level
gonna be-
one
they're
because
be-
they want to go watch CrossFit.
Exactly. They're
I
going
know.
to be in and out. They're
I was
already
always
paying all that
amazed
money.
that they do level ones like the weekend of the games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, if you're at a level 1 during the games,
You want to watch the games.
you don't really mean you want to do CrossFit.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be here.
Yeah. No. She said that the ones that are better to do at the games are like the kids courses and stuff like that,
Yeah.
or just like
Well, and the
smaller
ones that are on site,
correct.
right? But I'm talking about like the weekend in Pittsburgh, the same weekend as the games.
Yeah,
like
no.
I wouldn't be able to concentrate.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I want to focus on all the athletes. So like,
Yeah.
so now as a spectator, you can do those selfies and stuff. You know,
Yeah,
when you're not
exactly,
working in the thing.
exactly.
That's what you want to go do.
Yeah.
So, do you have any like things that you want to like talk to athletes about, like personally, when you go out there?
I haven't really thought about it too much, actually. I probably should start thinking about what my angle is going to be once I get these people. The cool part about it is we've built so many great relationships with athletes that a lot of it's going to be just catch-ups.
Yeah, continued
right?
conversations.
People that I have already met and interviewed and even like had continued relationship, like online friendships with.
Right.
You know, I'm not in person with these people, but you know, I could probably stay at somebody's house that lives in Knoxville that is like a games athlete. You know what I mean? Like you just build these friendships with certain people.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And then they give you, you know, leads and access to their athletes, and you know they trust you. And then when big news breaks, like they want to tell you,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So we've had a lot of stuff happen where we've been like the first to know, and like we haven't been able to say anything.
Yeah,
and then,
that's
like,
awesome.
It breaks, we're like, yeah,
Yeah.
we do, and you know we did. Yeah, so it's been cool. I don't know about the new athletes, but I'm excited to see like the up and comers. We pride ourselves on meeting and get to knowing people that like are getting big but aren't big yet.
Right. Yeah. You guys do the guesses on who's gonna like crush stuff in the next year, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm always interested to see your
We
guys'
created
takes.
relationship with Annika Greer, for instance. We've been interviewing Annika Greer for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like and basically the rest of the world didn't even know who she was until Wildapalooza 2 months ago. So like I just feel proud of that like and it wasn't like luck or anything. I looked at a bunch of, you know, teen athletes that were on the top, and she had a really interesting story about how she missed the games a couple years in a row.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like old news for us. We're like, yeah, we know about
We
all
do that. Yeah. That's not the girl that missed it this year because she
the technical.
yeah.
Yeah, that's her.
The one that she thought it submitted but it didn't.
Correct.
That's her. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's Annika.
Reading that story, that was so sad.
Yeah,
man.
we interviewed her 2 summers ago when the games were canceled,
Oh.
and she was a teen, and that was her first year to be able to qualify and go. And she could have qualified the year before, but she had an injury, and
Wow.
she could have qualified the year before, but something else happened. So this is like the 8th thing that's happened with her.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've been there since the beginning, so it's kind of cool. Same thing with like Emma Carey. We have a great relationship with her and her dad, and that was before, you know, she even became like a semifinal athlete.
Did she have to
at
pull
Grand
out this
Games.
year?
She did. She's got a back injury.
Yeah, it stinks. I remember reading that. That was also sad.
Yeah. That's the other thing. You get so invested in these people that
Yeah.
oh, it's exhausting sometimes.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah.
feel like I have like all these little children that I have to take care of and keep track of, you
Yeah.
know, and keep dibs on.
It's your
So
Uber invested in.
It's very much so.
That's
a
a
thing.
lot. Speaking of like developing those relationships, like what's your favorite episode, like off the top of your head right now? Because I didn't give you this question before. That you think they had like an amazing story, right?
Ooh, amazing story.
Something they told you, like wow, like I'm excited to follow along.
You know, I really love E. Church. So E, she was a corrections officer, and she was a games athlete in 2018,
Okay.
maybe. And she was phenomenal. Like everyone was like paying attention to her, and like she just looked like she had this like really good runway
Right.
for the games. And then stuff happened, and she just like didn't, and she ended up being like a High Rocks champion.
Okay.
High Rocks is like that functional fitness thing in Europe,
Oh, okay.
where they do like running and then like lunges and then like wall balls, and it's like
I
the
heard
thing
about
that
that.
Hunter McIntyre just won or
A
something.
dude that I had on the podcast a few weeks ago, he was doing one of those.
High Rocks,
yeah.
yeah. And I've always just thought she was interesting, and we interviewed her, and then we ended up interviewing her and her wife
Wow.
together. And it's like the cool part for me is when you learn about all these other personal things that are happening in people's lives, and you start to care more about that
Yeah,
than like their CrossFit career.
that's the best.
And we had her on a second time, and it like didn't even have anything to do about CrossFit. It was
Yeah.
like about her and how her wife met. They had this Instagram thing where they were like taste testing cupcakes for the wedding, and like I couldn't wait to ask like,
You were
which
invested.
cupcake did you choose?
Yeah.
Like I need to know what cake flavor you had.
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff
Yeah.
that I really like. So we've had a couple like aha moments where like, oh crap, we didn't think this was going to go this way, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, you get some stories of people with some trauma in their lives and things like that, which, you know, I don't necessarily want to like sensationalize, but it's pretty cool that you get people to open up like that.
Yeah.
We've made a couple people cry. Kind of, you know, we're like the Barbara Walters
Yeah.
of interviewing. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's neat
crazy.
to get a window into that, because a lot of the other interviews are just very sports oriented.
Yeah.
You know, and we're just not about that.
Those are my favorite ones to do and then to listen to about other podcasts. It's like when it's like a sports themed one, like functional fitness themed one.
And then you go off.
And then
right?
like at the end, they're like, "Oh, I should ask you about the sport," you know, because
Right,
we
right,
spit
right,
this
right,
whole
right.
time. That's when you know it was a good one.
Yeah,
you know,
we just talked to Armin Hammer yesterday, and he's been out of the space for a bit.
yeah,
And you know, it was 45 minutes of his new baby and his wife and his move from Austin to LA, and not so much about CrossFit at all. So
yeah.
those are cool interviews.
I love, like, for myself when I was able to branch out and do other things, and like I had that moment of realization, like this is my own thing. I can do whatever I want with it. You
Yeah.
know, like so episode 100 this week is going to be my best friend who doesn't really do any sports. I mean, he does strongman like twice a year, but
Mhm.
he just had a baby, just got married. It's all about life, you know, for
So
him.
cool.
He started his own business, so it's about pretty much a year recap. You know,
That's nice.
so going off of that, right?
Yeah.
What's an episode that it's your favorite because of the conversation that you had? Like you feel like your skills shone through, like the interview you were able to do. You're like, oh, I have one in mind. What was
Well,
it?
Dave Castro.
Dave Castro. Okay.
I was super proud of that interview.
Yeah.
I booked it, so I got to lead it, which was very important to me that I
That's
did that.
awesome, yeah.
Right. And I got to ask him some things that I don't think anyone's ever asked him before.
Yeah.
When I was a judge at the games, there were because I paid attention, like to behind the scenes at this year's games, there were some like performance snafus, if you will, like equipment snafus and things that maybe not everybody noticed, but I totally saw.
Yeah.
And I like called him out on it and asked
Right.
him, I was like, dude, what happened with the sign in lane 4? And like, he's like, oh my God, you saw that? You know, I think he was impressed that I was like at that level of detail
Yeah.
in his work. And there were some things that happened at the 19 games when I judged that I called him out on and sort of asked about. And I mean, I wasn't afraid to just kind of go there.
And that's what he's kind of looking for.
Yeah.
Right, he
Yeah. I mean,
respects
he
that.
does not want to just ask like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? And like, what was your workout today?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really proud of that interview. I mean, so much so that like, I would even like, if I ever talked to Savon, I would be like, listen to my interview with Dave. What do you think? You know,
Yeah.
like that would be like my audition interview probably.
With Savan, yeah.
You know? He's a great interviewer.
Because he's been doing it for a while.
He's amazing.
And just like turning them out, right? Like he keep having conversation. And it seems like he never runs out of things to say. And you were talking about earlier that people tune out and they stick to their notes.
Yeah.
He doesn't stick to the notes.
Oh my gosh, no.
It's like whatever you say, now I want to know more about that, or I want to divert to another course,
Yeah, he'll interrupt, and I really like his interviewing style a lot. And I will tell you that I've tried to emulate it and adopt it in many ways. It's really hard with 4 co-hosts to do that because you end up seeming like you're bulldozing the conversation, which is what he does, but it's just him.
Yeah.
And he can do that. But I've been watching his podcast since like 2015,
when it was him and Matt Bishel.
When it was him and Bishel, and they, I've probably watched every single one of those episodes probably more than once.
Yeah.
To the point where I would be up late at night waiting for the next one to release.
Yeah.
And watching it.
Yeah. When CrossFit Media,
and that was before I even got into this whole podcast.
All that stuff,
thing.
yeah, it was a while ago.
Way before.
When CrossFit Media blew up and like he went away from doing the official CrossFit podcast, I was like, oh man, I was watching that one. Mayhem's one they did with Hensel at the time. Yep. And then what's not Garage? What's the one that
I like the Training Think Tank one too, the one that Max Alhaj does.
I got into that
good.
more recently, but the one that Barbell Shrugged back in the days.
Oh,
those are my 3 shows. That's how I like got into, and that's how I even knew a podcast it was.
Yep.
Through those 3 shows, it's like wow.
Yeah, Barbell Shrugged is a good one.
OG one, yeah. I was Bledsoe. That was the name. That's all I was trying to think of. Mike Bledsoe, Doug Larson, when those guys.
And Alex Macklin.
Alex Macklin, yeah. He's not really a CrossFitter anymore, But that's
cool.
Yeah.
School. But yeah, I mean, stuff. I'm definitely like a consumer of content.
Right.
I mean, when I have free time, even at the gym, like in between classes, I'm watching a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And my kids drives them crazy. Because I'll be at home sitting on the couch. They'll be watching TV or watching a game, and I will be with my headset listening to something. I'm there physically.
Yeah.
They're on their phones anyway. They're not really paying attention to me, but I'm not. I couldn't tell you last time I watched television.
Yeah, that's me. Like I started the Ultimatum and I watched like 3 episodes in a weekend, right? And now of course I came back here because I like to like get involved with people and start talking to them about it. The little bit of stuff that I watched, and they're now like, you gotta watch the rest of it. You gotta watch the rest. I'm like, I'm just gonna be a while before I turn my TV back on to watch TV. Like, I'll do the same thing as you. Have podcasts going on all day, put it on YouTube or the TV.
I'm constantly watching it.
Feel like I'm not TV shows. I'll get an episode every like 2 weeks, something like that.
And I have a really hard time listening to podcasts that aren't about CrossFit.
Same.
And it sucks. Like, I wish I didn't because I feel like I need to broaden my horizons a little bit. But if it's not something that I'm like familiar with, I guess because I listen to it with like I'm doing something else, like I'm multitasking. Like I'll be programming for the gym, and it'll just be on the TV or listening to it, and I can sort of digest it that way because
that's your environment.
Because
right?
I know what they're talking about. But if I put on like a Joe Rogan episode of something that I don't know anything about, I will not absorb any of it.
Yeah, kind of tune out.
Yeah.
So I kind of lied. So I'll do so much CrossFit, fitness, weightlifting for me, right? Mm-hmm. But then the other 10% of the time is like my other big passion is like music.
Okay.
Right. So I'll put on that one.
That's
but
awesome.
I do notice that I tune that one out more. And specifically the one that I listen to is like 3 hours long. So it's like I'm able to tune it out. It's just background noise to get a lot of stuff done. Mm-hmm. Right. Like that's like my work environment that I put that on.
I listen to podcasts in the shower.
Really? Do you?
Yeah. I try not to waste any, like I'm very efficient with my time. Right. It's like if I have to listen to something, which I feel like it's my job to be able to listen to these now. It's not just like something fun I like to do.
So do you do it with work ears on all the time or are you able to turn them off?
No,
okay.
I'm always like criticizing, somebody stumbling over their words.
Right.
Or, what kind of question is that?
Yeah.
Like how could you ask that?
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm super perfect. Because I'm perfect.
Are you ever able to turn like the work ears off? Oh man, that's tough.
I don't think so. Yeah. I'm exhausted.
When we talked last time about you coming, I was like, dude, I know that you're tired. It's fine. Like don't have to apologize to me.
This is my nap time.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. No, but it's I love it. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't, suffer through it. But it's all consuming. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. You kind of got into the business to be consumed by it, right? Like you didn't come in to like kind of half-ass it. Like one thing that I hate is people that like half-ass stuff.
Yeah, I don't really do any of that.
I had a friend that was at the bottom, the bubble of the semifinal, like territory, mm-hmm. right? And she's like, I want to commit to this. She quit her job, moved out to Kansas to go train with Hepner. I'm like, that's what you have to do. So that like when I get athletes in here that talk like they want to go do that, mm-hmm. but they're doing all these other things, I'm like, well, I kind of just don't even believe you.
Right.
Like similar to you, I was an assistant manager at Walmart. I had an easy, cushy job where I made triple what I made now.
Yep.
Once I found CrossFit, actually once I became a member here in 2017, mm-hmm. 17, 16, something like around there. I was like, and I got my level 1. I was like, oh, I'm going to quit this job. And then like my pay got cut like lower than in half, you know, to go start this journey. And now like I'm climbing back up to like an area that like I love what I do every day. And I also get paid like something that reflects my love for it. But it's like I struggled for a while.
And it's still a grind.
It's still a grind. Exactly.
You know, it's one of those things where too, like, you don't make money unless you're in it.
Yeah.
Right. You're present.
Yeah.
Like, you're not sleeping making money.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm still working on that.
Yeah. That's what people are like going to, right? Like,
how can I make money when I'm sleeping?
When I'm not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the important part. Like, yo, go be consumed by something. Like, go full ass into it, right? As opposed to half ass. Like, go do that all the way. You know?
And it's just because, you know, I want our podcast to be better. I just want to continue to improve that. And, you know, I want my interview skills to get better. Because the networking part's there. It's just, I don't want to ruin opportunities because I'm not good enough. Yeah. You know?
You developed all those years you spent all those years like developing relationships, right? So like now you have the networking skills, you know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
And that's all it is for me. Like, I could care less about anything else. I just want to like connect with people.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, that's even like my philosophy owning my gym is if people don't want to come and work out, like aren't looking forward to it.
I'm not trying to convince you.
Not because of the workout, just because of like the vibe and they want to just be here.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Yeah. That's what I want to create.
Create the environment that people want to be in.
Yeah.
Right? Like those ladies you saw, they were here, the masters, they were here for 20 minutes before had the workout.
I wanted to work out with them.
Yeah, right. They set that vibe. And we kind of depend on that, right? We try to set the environment for them that they go spread the word. And Amy really loves that, you know, start off with just 2 people. And now it's like, this is a packed room now.
It's very cool. Like I had 7 people in my 7:45 class yesterday, and they were all like warming up on the rowers. And I didn't even have to carry the conversation. Like I was checking my phone. Yeah. You know, they were just doing their 2 minutes of cardio before warm up. They were all just chit chatting.
That's awesome.
People from all different walks of life, and you know, just all these connections that they make. Like, oh, you did this. Oh, I go there, and that's my husband. And blah, blah. So cool. It's so cool to see.
So amazing all the time. Yeah. To see how that grows. So with that being said, like, what are you hungry for most now?
I think building my gym is really the focus and has been for the last couple months now. You know, we're at like 35 members.
Nice.
We have our 100-day celebration on May 11th.
Wow. So
I'm trying to figure out what to do for the 100th day. But we actually have a whiteboard in the front of the gym that says the road to 50 members. And I'm just literally, as someone signs up,
writing them up there.
We put their first name, last initial, and a big like bold bar of color on the thing. It's like a thermometer, you know, like coming up. So yeah, that's really what I want to do is get out in the community, make sure I'm getting the right people in the door, setting the vibe, and seeing what happens.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like finally happening. You know, I've been wanting to do this for so long that now that it's here, it's like, oh shit, like you gotta.
I'm doing this, yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know? Don't put your foot off the gas. So.
Where do you see it yourself for like in a year? Where do you see the gym at?
I'd like to have a couple coaches.
Okay.
I'd like to have a couple days off.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love somebody to do like Fridays and Saturdays for me if they could. I probably will never give up my mornings. My morning classes, they're real important to me. I'd like to do more private training, to be honest with you. Like we have a space where we can do both at the same time. And that's one of the reasons why I got that space.
Yeah.
And I'm not utilizing it right now because it's just me. But I would love to have like the 6:30 class happening and having a private training client around the corner in the other space.
Yeah.
Like that would be my goal.
That's amazing. So you went through the CDP, right? Are you ready to train a new coach?
I did.
I remember seeing like
I am actually trying to find somebody who wants to like take it seriously. I think the problem is, well, I'm gonna be super picky about who I choose because the people that are doing CrossFit with me now haven't done CrossFit before.
Yeah.
A lot of them. So it's really important to me that they get a very good experience. And I've had a couple nibbles with the internship is what you're talking about. Like trying to find internship. I had like a competitive athlete respond. And I'm like,
look for a free gym.
Maybe not, but like that's not the vibe I want, right? You know, and then so I have a couple people that I'm actually like thinking about that are members that I'm trying to maybe encourage to go get their level 1, and maybe they would like to coach.
Yeah.
You know, and they're professionals, so they have other jobs and things like that. It would be a hobby. I'm not ready to hire like a career coach.
Yeah.
But I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And right now we have 3 men. And all the rest are women.
And 32 women?
At my gym.
That's funny.
3 men. We have 2 of them are spouses of members.
Yeah.
And one of them is my father.
Okay.
So I haven't had to deal with any like romantic drama yet.
Yeah.
You know, all that kind of stuff that comes with the gym that I'm fully
Hopefully
prepared.
that staves off a little bit.
I'm
though.
fully prepared to deal with it because like been there, done that in other gyms.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting that like people are like, where are all the men? Like, I don't know, guys. Like Catalyst Fitness, like we haven't. You know, my affiliate is CrossFit Clarity, and if I were to market CrossFit Clarity, I'm sure I'd get more men in the door. But I don't lead with that brand. But that's something I'm thinking about too, is maybe trying to get a little bit of testosterone in there. Just a little bit.
Let it grow a little bit naturally in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But then,
Because I think people off the streets think it's a boot camp. Like they don't realize that Catalyst Fitness, what is that? Oh, it's group fitness. I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like not many guys are going to sign up for group fitness.
No, yeah.
They want to either go to the gym or they want to do CrossFit.
Right.
And the problem is that my female avatar does not want to do CrossFit. So I'm they're at odds
in the middle,
with each other.
yeah.
So I'm just going to go with one for now, and we'll try to develop the other one at some point.
And that boot camp sentiment, that's what usually happens, right? It's like a spouse brings the guy,
Correct.
Correct. So
and those guys, get a great workout and are, crushing it.
Yeah.
It's just hard to bring your buddies along.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem manly enough, I guess. You know?
Another part about bringing a coach in, right? So then you could take some of the classes. Like that's what you're missing out from before. Has anyone there been able to see you work out on the
You want to talk
usual...
about the last time I worked out? I'm not kidding. So I did the open.
Okay.
I did the open.
I didn't know.
When was that?
Oh man.
I think I've done one workout since then.
Wow.
And it was with my neighbor who comes to the 6:30 class.
Okay.
6:30 a.m. And if she's the only one there, I will do class with her.
Yeah.
But I am adamant about not taking classes with my athletes.
I love that.
When I'm supposed to be coaching, right? When they're paying me to coach them, I'm not going to take the class.
Right.
I will jump into class if I have a coach. Absolutely, 100%. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
They loved seeing me in our Friday Night Lights. They thought that was super cool. Like, oh, we get to see coach work out,
Yeah.
and do her thing. But my fitness level is in the toilet right now. Completely in the toilet.
You'll get it right back. It'll be great.
I just can't. Like,
yeah.
I coach 4 classes in the morning, and then I have I have to do stuff. Send out emails,
be responsible,
clean the gym and do all that kind of stuff. And then before I know it, my afternoon's gone.
Yeah.
And then I got clients again. And then I have to go to bed.
Yeah.
I have to sleep.
So that I can do it all again tomorrow.
So yeah, it's really hard. I mean, I sometimes plan every day. I'm like, okay, as soon as the 9 o'clock's over, it's just an 8-minute AMRAP. Just 8 minutes.
And I have 17 minutes. Right? I can do it.
I could do it. I could have done it today, but I didn't. It's just obviously not a priority right now, and it'll come back. It'll come back. I know it. I have to, look the part and walk the walk for sure. I'm fit enough that I can let it slide for now.
Yeah.
But there's gonna come a time where
it'll catch up.
I gotta go back and start working out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So those goals will all start coming together.
I would love to be able to take a class at my own gym.
Yeah.
That's a great goal.
It's super.
Right?
It's super important, right?
Yeah. And if I can do that, that means other things have worked out, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's my goal, is take a class at my own gym.
Right. Because they say when you're planning something, right? Don't shoot for just the outcome. So that would be a byproduct of you accomplishing your other goals.
Exactly.
There we go. Look at that. We just made a goal for you.
We solved it.
We're crushing it. So you told me what you're hungry for. We just made that goal for you. Where are you at next? Right. You said the Syndicate.
Yeah, I'm going to Syndicate. We have a bunch of interviews coming up for semifinals. And then the games, I guess. I mean, Scott's going to be covering MAC. He'll be covering Granite Games for sure. And I'll be remotely, plugged in, watching, and probably
giving feedback.
If we do lives with our technology, we can be on the same screen together.
Right.
For that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're just covering semis and figuring out, what the next step is and see what it is. I'm also going to be doing. That was another thing. I'm part of the Masters Fitness Collective.
Oh.
So that live competition in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
So I think I'm the head judge. I'm either head judge or athlete control or something like that. But I'm one of the planners of that event. And that's going to be one of the premier Masters events probably going forward. If and when the CrossFit Games decides to sort of cut out age groups and the divisions, MFC will be one of those premier things. And then
We'll step in.
Yeah, and then I'm doing stuff with the Green Beret Project, for their event every year and helping out. So, I'm trying to give as much as I can to those other competitions just because it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the passions that you still maintain.
Yeah, I love it.
At the games, what's going to be the deal? Are you going to be media team or judge team?
Definitely media team. We're going to try to get media credentials to see if we can just be in the pit and do our thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully that works out.
That's awesome.
I don't think, I could judge, but I think I've had to have applied already for that. So that's the hard part too, is like
Sure.
with Rogue, we did the same thing last year. Like we didn't judge because we wanted to do media, but we realized that like we weren't going to get into media, and then we're like, oh shit, what do we do?
Yeah.
You kind of get stuck. So there's a little bit of a cat and mouse game with that, but I think we've got good relationships with Noble right now, with some of the people that we have been networking with, and there's been a changing of the guard with like Loud and Live, and Matt O'Keefe's doing some other things, so we don't have that in with Loud and Live necessarily for Granite Games per se, but like Wilson Pack with Mac and Syndicate, like we get carte blanche there pretty much.
Yeah.
He's been a good partner, and I've actually did media for the Mac Fest, which was his like
That's
local comp
in
November.
It's
so that
bigger
was
than a
fun.
local comp.
Oh my gosh,
The
it's
community
amazing.
celebration, right? That's
Yeah.
how they brand it. Yeah.
It's basically the amateur part of the Mac.
Yeah.
It used to be the Mac. They just had to separate it because now it's a semifinal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the games will be the same vibe. I'm going to break out my camera and take pictures. I took really good pictures last year at the games, just being on the field, and that's how I created a lot of relationships too. I would send Google folders to these athletes,
It's awesome.
and then they'd use my photos and tag me in Instagram and that kind of stuff. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how I will manifest myself at the games this
Love
year?
that.
We'll see.
Love
Just gonna
that.
show up and
Have
see what
specific
happens.
goals and then manifesting the rest. That's how you
whatever.
gotta do it,
Yeah,
man.
just be around. Just be in the environment. Really is. I'd be happy. Doing anything.
Yeah.
Really.
Being around stuff that you
Being
love.
a part of it. Yeah.
Hell yeah, I love that. So, Kat, at the end of the episode, where can people reach you? Where can they talk to you? Where can they check you out?
Well, Instagram, I'm at CrossFit Coach Kat, all C's. Catalyst Fitness DE is the gym handle, and CrossFit Clarity is the name of the affiliate.
Where is it exactly?
It's in Wilmington, Delaware, on Kirkwood Highway, next to the Vitamin Shop.
Nice. Oh, I know exactly where that is.
Do you?
After being at the what's it called at Green Beret, driving around like in that area.
Yeah. Come by. It's really cool. We have a super cool vibe. Really nice lounge. Big gym area. Just put in one of those big giant fans up in the ceiling.
Nice, big ass fans bringing it back.
Yeah,
I miss when every gym had those. Those are so awesome.
This is a Hunter fan.
Oh,
so,
okay.
We're fancy. We're fancy over in the 19808.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a great ride, and anybody's welcome to come whenever. I'm pretty much always there.
Yeah, there's the only kids there. I bet.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Is the Vitamin Shop like the landmark in Delaware? Because freaking Max said that to me before. About something.
Really?
Yeah.
I just use it because Kirkwood Highway is so big and so long. Like it's got so many different landmarks that's one of them. I would say like the car dealership, but there's like 18 car dealerships and nobody ever knows like which one it is.
Which one?
There's also like a Rita's across the street.
Okay.
I think it's the only Rita's on the strip. But there's a Sherwin-Williams in my thing.
Heard that.
That's like a paint store, right?
Yeah, I know that.
There's like 7 Sherwin-Williams on Kirkwood Highway.
Wow.
I literally like Googled it because I wanted to call the guys who are my neighbors to like let them know I was getting a delivery or something, and I called the wrong one.
Wow.
But it said like Kirkwood Highway. I'm like, how many?
How many can you have?
How could you have? There's like 4
on a highway.
So, but it is the only vitamin shop on Kirkwood Highway.
Okay,
So I think
maybe that's why he used it.
We use it as a landmark.
Yeah. Well, all right, dogs. I think it's been a great episode. Kat, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. That was fun.
Boom. Peace out, dogs.